Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to desolder things from a motherboard or chipset using Solder-Wick. Okay, now Solder-Wick is basically just copper threading that comes in a spool, and the more you pull on it, the more it comes out until you run out. And you can get that at Radio Shack. What else we're going to be using is a soldering iron. This particular soldering iron is a butane pen, and it will take me a minute to get this heated up and turned on. But that shouldn't be too long, and yeah, so we're just going to be basically desoldering this piece of solder from the board. The way you do this is you overlay the solder wick onto the solder point or joint, and then you press your hot soldering iron or butane pen onto the top of the solder wick, which is on top of your point, and then what happens is it gets hot, melts the solder, and the solder wick sucks it up. I will do my best to show you that using this camera, but it's going to be a bit difficult because of the zoom level and everything like that, where I'm standing you on this tiny little thing, and it may be too low. So yeah, so I'll be right back when I have the camera set up, and then I'll show you how to desolder that point. Alright, so now we have our camera set up, and the board is down, as well as our soldering iron is heating up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to basically move this over so you can see it better, and I'm going to touch the solder wick on the point that I'm trying to desolder, and then on top of the solder wick I'm going to put down my soldering iron to heat it up and melt the solder. Now it will take a bit longer than it normally would to heat the solder because it's on top of the solder wick as opposed to directly on top of it, but it still won't take too long. And the way you'll know that your solder wick has been saturated completely or it won't soak up anymore is that pretty much the entire string will be turned silver as opposed to copper colored, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting underneath this thing. There we go. There we go. So now I've got it hot enough to melt the solder. I can just hold it on there, and it should just start to melt through. There we go. And there you have it. Now you have your solder wick. It has the solder soaked up into it, and the spot where the solder was is pretty much all cleaned up. And anything else you can pretty much just wipe away with a little more solder wick or something like that. So, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.